morning rush hour in London's busy Euston Road. Every day, some 25 million of us or more go to work. Mostly we work for large companies and corporations. And these large companies have immense power over our lives. They pay us, they can fire us, and indeed, they can hire us. But once we get to our place of work, what say do we have over the very big decisions that could be taken there that might affect the whole of our way of life? Ray, as a cameraman, what say would you have if Thames, for example, decided to close down these studios?
Well, personally, none at all, but I'm sure my union would have a lot to say about it.
Well, that's one way of being represented. But for you at home, what influence do you have over the big decisions and even the little ones that are taken at work? That's the kind of question we're going to look at tonight and over the next few weeks. The so-called British disease, industrial conflict. A vicious circle of strikes, low productivity, low rates of investment and loss of profit. In this new series, What About the Workers? We are going to discuss what some people think is the only solution to Britain's industrial relations problems. The only way to make industry more productive, efficient and profitable.
It's absolutely vital.
It's not only important, it's critical.
Productivity in the UK is low. The only way we'll get productivity up is by turning everybody on the shop floor. And that really does mean involving them far more than we had to do 10 or 15 years ago.
Industrial democracy helps here because you put all the facts on the table, argue about them, and try and draw common conclusions from them.
Both Sir John Methven from the bosses' side and Len Murray from the union side agree that giving workers a say is crucial if British industry is to be revitalised. But what they don't agree on is how and to what extent this should be done.
CBI's view is a paternalistic view. Ours is a genuinely democratic view. They want to bestow favours out of the bag of favours they've got available. They want to give us something out of the goodness of their hearts.
I would distinguish between a bid by the trade unions for further power and true worker involvement.
We argue, democratically, that it's not a question of favours. There's an absolute right there on the part of workers to be involved and to share in decision-making.
What I'm concerned with, which is shop floor involvement, is really a very different thing. So I prefer to talk about employee involvement, employee participation, which is a very much more neutral and less biased term than industrial democracy has become.
Involvement or power sharing, worker participation or industrial democracy. 3 weeks ago in its white paper, the government opted for union-nominated worker directors, though it probably won't be until 1984 that we actually see workers on the board, and that's only if the proposals are passed. Ever since the Bullock report, and before, controversy has raged over how workers should be involved in their companies. Should there be worker directors, and if so, how should they be chosen?
The order book still stands at 1,233,000. We're still not producing enough pumps. We managed to produce 135 units last period. In fact, that's about 27 a week. We need to step that up.
At Sykes Pumps, management and trade union representatives meet regularly. Once a month, the production director and his management colleagues sit round a table with union stewards who represent all shop floor workers. It's a formal meeting with a formal agenda, and the first item is the works programme.
Any other points on the...
Basically, the position remains the same. The order book's down. We can only do a day's work in a day. It's as simple as that.
The works convener at Sykes Pumps is Brian Luton. An AUEW shop steward, he's the chief spokesman for the men on the shop floor. So when it comes to negotiations with management, how does he interpret the interests of the workers?
Anything appertaining to their working conditions, that obviously includes rates of pay, the hours that they work, the conditions they work under, their job, anything appertaining to their job function.
Personnel records.
The monthly meeting conforms to the traditional pattern of collective bargaining.
By the time you get down...
But as well as across-the-table negotiations over pay, subjects discussed can include such things as the repainting of white safety lines or consultation over the introduction of a computerised personnel record system.
It may be possible to take the individuals over and then show them and explain to them quite sincerely how the job card system's going to work.
Yeah.
And on a personal basis.
Well, we're quite happy to do that, Brian.
Yeah, was it ever agreed, though? We suggested it, but I don't think it was ever agreed.
Can you tell me how much importance you attach to collective bargaining as a means of involving the workers in this firm?
The utmost importance. If you look at a standard collective bargaining structure, you've got a number of stewards who've been elected by the workforce to bring their views around a bargaining table. And you've got a number of management who have also been charged by the board of the company to represent management's views. And therefore you have a group of basically elected people to sort out, dare I say it, the industrial relations problems of a company.
Sykes Pumps Limited is part of the Henry Sykes Group. Their main business is the manufacture and the hire and sale of pumps and winches. It's a profitable group employing some 1,500 people, well over half of whom belong to trade unions. And it's through their unions that the shop floor workers have their say.
Most of my work conditions are done either through my work safety committee or through the shop stewards.
Directly, I don't have much contact with the management, only my own workshop manager, Mr. Taylor, but sort of higher up, we leave to our sort of stewards and people like that, our union.
Are you quite happy with that system?
Yes. What I want to find out, I'll find out through my stewards, and that's good enough to me.
If they were decisions that concerned us, we would get to know about them through our union representatives. They would keep us informed at all times.
How involved are the workers in actually running the company?
Not really very much involved. They have a say through their shop stewards in various aspects of company policy. They will be listened to and their views will be taken account of, staffing levels and a number of subjects of that order. But I wouldn't like to say that they have any effect at all on whether the company should go down this line of policy or whether they should buy this company or sell the other company.
Despite the fact that the board of Sykes Pumps, indeed all company boards, make decisions that will affect their workers, there's no requirement, as far as company law is concerned, for a board to take the wishes of their employees into account when formulating company policy. According to company law, the only people boards have to answer to are the shareholders.
You very much don't want to bully a very skilled body of people looking after it. But on the other hand, I think one can very legitimately see that it's successful. And there have been times when I felt it was even potentially useful to the firm.
Mrs. Mavis Gunter is a shareholder in the Henry Sykes Group of companies. In fact, her grandfather founded the firm. Shareholders can vote at the annual general meeting, and theoretically, they have the power to appoint or remove directors from the board. Does Mrs. Gunter think that workers should have the same right to involvement in the company that shareholders already have?
I find it awfully hard to decide about that. It is one's livelihood. The survival of the company matters a very great deal to a worker, but whether it would survive better with everybody having a general vote, because I imagine in any very big firm, it'd be awfully difficult for the directorate to let in enough information for a very large number of people to have judgment.
Mrs. Gunter has difficulty in imagining how the workers could be more involved. But when all's said and done, do the workers want to have a say in the way their company is run?
I think that we could help the company and also the directors on the type of work that we could take on. I don't want to know too much. I don't want to get too involved, you?
I think you should have a say in how the company's run. If they was to ask us more, you could clear up a lot of points.
With things as they are, I wouldn't be involved in all the sitting around and discussing.
If it's going to be a decision that's going to be made that's going to affect all of us, then I think we should all have a say in it.
So the Henry Sykes Company is anxious to give its workers a greater say in the company's affairs. But how? There are several different ways of doing it. But let's stay with this idea of a traditional company and think again of company law. Because legally, a company's directors are responsible to their shareholders rather than to their workers. It's the shareholders who get the profit from a company, and it's the shareholders who have the power to dismiss a board of directors if they're not doing what they want. So, as the law now stands, it could be argued that a way of giving workers a greater say in their companies would be for them to become shareholders. What do the TUC and the CBI think? Does Sir John Methven approve of worker share ownership schemes?
Yes, I do. The company I came from, ICI, we've had it going for many years, and I think one of the essential things is to try and get managers, shop floor, more involved with the profitability, the viability of the group that they're working with and for. And share ownership schemes is one of the ways in which to do it.
Fen Vernon is the chairman of the Ash and Lacey Group. His firm arranges that workers can buy company shares in small lots of 25 or more at a slightly reduced cost. Ash and Lacey are a profitable, medium-sized manufacturing company, and 120, that's 1 in 7 of their employees, have bought shares through the company's scheme. Bill Browning, who's a maintenance foreman, bought 25 shares last November. I asked him why.
I always like to bet on a winner, and I think buying shares with Ash and Lacey is betting on a winner.
Oh, you're wearing a team tie?
But of course.
The directors of Ash and Lacey believe in getting their shareholders and workers together. For the past 4 years, they've held various social functions to which both were invited.
Well, I first started here, they got together a dinner and dance affair at a well-known nightclub in Birmingham. The whole lot was there, and they really enjoyed it, I think. I think that's what really started the understanding between management and workers.
Mr. Barker? Mr. Browning, shareholder?
How would you feel if, as a shareholder, you had to close down part of the company, but as an employee, that meant you were losing your job?
I feel very sick about it.
Wouldn't you feel there was some conflict?
Between what?
Between being an employee and being a shareholder?
I shouldn't think so. Obviously, if they shut part of the factory down or make people redundant, I should imagine there's a good reason for it. And a company like Ash and Lacey, I don't think would allow that sort of thing to happen.
But what about a situation that might arise that it might be more profitable for a company perhaps to close out some of its plants, whereas it's clearly in the interest of the people who work there to keep their jobs? Surely this is an irreconcilable clash.
Not altogether, because there are times, it's not if you have, say, 10,000 employees in a company and 1,000 are not making profits and cannot make profits, it is much better actually to close that so that there's more money for the investors and the other workers and more security.
Fen Vernon, the chairman of Ash and Lacey, an industrialist with strong views. But let's now find out whether Len Murray thinks workers' shareholding is a way forward to industrial democracy.
But workers' shares are the sort of, not even the fairy on the cake. They're a bit of the icing and so on and so forth. I don't think they make much difference. We have looked at this in the past. We've studied the situation to see whether shareholdings by workers in a company made any difference to total wages, to productivity, to morale, to industrial disputes and so on. This was some years ago. And we didn't find there was any significant correlation between workers' shareholdings on the one hand or improvements in these things on the other.
So Len Murray remains unconvinced as to the value of workers' shareholders. Perhaps he might think differently if between them the workers owned all the shares in a company.